On today's episode of showing you cool places we have in Cameroon, I am right here at the Lobé Waterfalls. Look at that, guys. Compared to nothing. I mean, this way, the river looks very gentle, but it is dangerously dangerous. So look at that. That is the Lobé Waterfalls. And it is worthy of note that the falls are born of the river Lobe, and the river Lobe is like the biggest river we have here in the south region of Cameroon. It is also found in Kribi, which is like the most branded touristic destination that we have in Cameroon. So here, this is another video of me challenging you to step out of your house and travel.
If you watched the first part of this journey, then you already know that my day started with a visit to the Baka Pygmy village, hidden deep within the forest around Kribi. It was one of those experiences that remind you how diverse and fascinating Cameroon truly is. But the day was far from over. In fact, one of the highlights of the entire trip was still ahead of me. Because when most people hear the name Kribi, there is one place that immediately comes to mind: the Lobé Waterfalls. And honestly, no matter how many pictures you've seen or how many videos you've watched online, nothing prepares you for the first time you stand in front of this waterfall. After returning from the village, I headed straight to the waterfalls. The drive wasn't particularly long, but the excitement was building with every kilometer. This was one of those places I had wanted to visit for a long time. For those who don't know, the Lobé Waterfalls are often described as one of the most unique waterfalls in the world because they flow directly into the Atlantic Ocean. Think about that for a moment. Most rivers quietly make their way into the sea, but the Lobé River does something different. It crashes dramatically over a series of rocky cliffs before meeting the ocean. It is one of those rare places where nature seems determined to put on a show. As soon as I arrived, the first thing I noticed wasn't actually the view. It was the sound. Before you even see the waterfall, you hear them. The powerful rush of water crashing against the rocks fill the entire area. It is impossible to ignore. The closer I got, the louder it became until eventually the falls appeared right in front of me. And wow, the sight was incredible. Massive volumes of water poured over dark volcanic rocks while the Atlantic Ocean stretched endlessly behind them. The contrast between the river, the rocks, the greenery, and the ocean created one of the most beautiful landscapes I've seen anywhere in Cameroon. I spent a while simply standing there and taking it all in. Taking pictures, recording videos, watching the water, listening to the sound, trying to appreciate the moment. One thing I have learned from traveling is that sometimes the best thing you can do is stop trying to capture everything and simply experience it. The Lobé Waterfalls are definitely one of those places. Eventually, the heat started getting to me. The sun was doing its thing, and after a full day of moving around, there was only one thing on my mind: getting into the water. One thing many people don't realize is that visitors can actually swim in certain parts of the Lobé River. Of course, there are designated safe areas away from the strongest currents, but the experience itself is amazing. The moment I stepped into the river, my oh my, I understood why so many people love it. The water was cold, fresh, refreshing, exactly what I needed at that point. After a few minutes, I was completely relaxed, floating in the water with the waterfalls nearby and the sound of rushing water surrounding me. I felt like one of those moments you wish you could freeze forever. No deadlines, no emails, no stress, just nature doing what it has been doing for thousands of years. Sometimes we underestimate how important these moments are. We spend so much time rushing through life that we forget what it feels like to simply enjoy where we are. Standing in that river reminded me why I traveled in the first place. Not for content, not for social media, not for likes, but for experiences, for memories, for moments that make you feel alive. After spending some time in the water, it was time for the next adventure because directly crossing across the waterfalls sits another beautiful destination that many visitors often overlook, the Lobé Beach. And the best part, you don't drive there, you don't walk around, you cross by boat. The moment I heard that, I was already excited. If there is a boat ride involved, count me in. I climbed aboard and we began making our way across the water. The ride itself wasn't very long, but it gave us a completely different perspective to the waterfalls. From the water, the falls look even more impressive. You could appreciate their scale better. You could see the power of the river more clearly, and you could understand why people travel from all over Cameroon and the world just to experience this place. As we moved away from the falls, the atmosphere began changing. The roar of the water slowly faded behind us. The ocean breeze became stronger. The scenery opened up, and before long, Lobé Beach appeared ahead. If the waterfall represents adventure, then the beach represents peace, right? The contrast between the two is beautiful. One moment you're standing beside the powerful crashing waterfalls, the next moment you're walking along a calm stretch of beach, listening to the waves roll gently onto the shore. The beach itself was stunning. The sand stretched out along the coastline. Fishing boats floated in the distance, palm trees, coconut trees gently in the breeze. The atmosphere was relaxed and peaceful. I spent some time walking along the shoreline, taking the views in and simply enjoyed the moment. There was no rush, no schedule, no pressure, just me, the ocean, and one of the most beautiful coastlines in Cameroon. And honestly, that might be one of my favorite things about Kribi. It offers balance. You can have adventure, you can have culture, you can have relaxation, you can have nature all in the same day in the same town. But believe it or not, the day still wasn't over because a trip to Kribi will not be complete without experiencing some of its nightlife, right? After spending the entire day exploring the waterfalls, swimming in the rivers, riding boats, and walking along the beaches, most people would probably head straight to bed, but I did not. As the sun disappeared and the darkness settled over the town, Kribi slowly transformed. The beaches became quieter, the temperature became cooler, the lights came on, and the town began showing a different side of its personality. We started the evening with a small house party, nothing too fancy, just people, good music, good food, and lots of conversation. Everyone was sharing stories from the day's adventure. Some people couldn't stop talking about the waterfalls, the boat rides. Others were still excited about the boat rides. A few people were already discussing where they wanted to travel next. One of the things I love most about group travel is how quickly strangers become friends. People who met only a few hours earlier were already beginning to laugh together like they had known each other for years. That's one of the hidden benefits of travel. The places are great, the people often become even better. And after the house party, we decided to continue the night experience in Kribi properly. So we headed out, and if you've ever spent a night in Kribi, then you already know the town knows how to have a good time. The music was loud, the atmosphere was lively, the people were dancing, the energy was infectious. Everywhere you looked around, people were enjoying themselves. What I loved most about this was how the entire day felt. Early that morning, I had been deep in the forest visiting the Baka community. After a few hours, I was swimming beside one of the world's most unique waterfalls. Then I was crossing the water by boat to the Lobé Beach, and now here am I enjoying Kribi's nightlife. Adventure, culture, nature, relaxation, nightlife, all in a single day, and that's what makes Kribi special. It's just a beach town. It isn't just a tourist destination, it's an experience. By the time the night finally came to an end, I realized something. Kribi is one of those places that has a little bit of everything. Whether you love adventure, culture, nature, food, beaches, nightlife, or simply escaping from routine, there is something here for you in Kribi. And that's why people keep coming back. If you've never visited Kribi before, put it on your list. And if you like to experience Kribi, the Lobé Waterfalls, the Lobé Beach, and many other destinations across Cameroon, my contact information is in the description below. Trust me, this is one adventure worth taking. Ndolo travels. Come, let me show you something, and come, let's chop life together.